How to speak English confidently like a native. Tertian speak English confidently. Cheshak improve your English. Tertian life lessons. Welcome to English Story. Today I want to take you on a special journey. A journey that will help you not only speak English better, but also transform who you are from the inside out. Because English is not just vocabulary, grammar, or pronunciation. English is emotion. English is mindset. English is energy. English is the way you see yourself. And when you change the way you use language, you change the way you live your life. On this journey, we will walk through 4 core pillars that can reshape your confidence, your communication, your influence, and your identity. The first pillar is English speaking confidence, where you will finally understand why 90% of learners know English but still don't dare to speak. Fear of mistakes, fear of judgment, fear of sounding not good enough keeps their voice small and uncertain. You will learn how slowing down your speech gives you more control, how short sentences make your message clearer, and how removing weak words makes your voice instantly stronger. You will discover simple but powerful tools like mirror speaking, power phrases, and daily confidence drills. Keys that help you build a confident, solid, trustworthy voice. The second pillar is communication psychology, where you explore the emotional and psychological world behind every conversation. You will understand that 70% of communication comes not from words, but from energy, eye contact, breathing, and body language. You will learn how your speed, your gaze, and your pauses can completely change the way people feel about you. And you will master how to control your hands, your breath, and your presence so you just speak, you are truly listened to. The third pillar is public speaking and persuasion skills, where you learn the 3 golden techniques that give your words real impact. Pausing to create power and emotion, repetition to deepen your message, and short sentences that strike directly into the listener's heart. You'll learn how to apply these techniques in interviews, presentations, workplace communication, and even YouTube or TikTok videos. When you master these skills, you won't just talk, you will inspire, influence, and move people. And finally, the 4th pillar is self-identity and voice, where you realize that your voice is your identity. Changing your voice means changing your emotions, your thoughts, and your life. You'll understand that your language identity is shaped by how you think, how you feel, and how you see yourself as a speaker. You will learn how to build your own voice identity, a voice that is real, emotional, and uniquely yours. And with tools like affirmation speaking, emotional storytelling, and the slow speaking method, English will no longer be just a subject you study. It will become a part of your personal identity, making you stronger, more confident, and more authentic. These are not just 4 lessons. These are 4 doors, 4 powerful gateways into a new version of yourself. A version who speaks English with inner confidence, communicates with positive energy, persuades with emotion, and grows through the power of your own voice. As we walk through each part together, you will see how English can transform your life in ways you never imagined. Here is what you will explore in this series. 1. English speaking confidence. How to believe in your voice. 2. Communication psychology. How to speak so people feel you. 3. Public speaking skills. How to make your words powerful and unforgettable. 4. Self-identity and voice. How English can shape who you become. And now we will learn the details of the above 4 contents. 1. English speaking confidence. Welcome, my friend. Today I want to share a powerful truth that almost no one tells you. You do not lack vocabulary. You do not lack grammar. You only lack confidence in your own voice. Many English learners can read well, write well, and understand others with ease. Yet when it comes to speaking, everything changes. The voice becomes small, the breath becomes weak, the eyes look down, and the words rush out like they are trying to escape. Not because you cannot speak English, but because deep down, you do not believe your voice deserves to be heard. And today we are going to change that together. So let me ask you, why do you understand English but still fear speaking it? The answer is simple. You fear making mistakes. You fear being laughed at. You fear your voice sounds strange. And you fear not sounding like a native speaker. These fears make you speak softly, speak too fast, lose control of your breath, and break your sentences awkwardly. But the truth is this: people do not listen because your English is perfect. People listen because you are confident. You do not need to sound like a native speaker. You only need to speak clearly, slowly, calmly, and with belief in yourself. One reason you struggle is the obsession with grammar. You think you must speak perfectly before you speak at all. But even native speakers break grammar rules every single day. Fluency is not perfection. Fluency is flow. Another reason is comparison. You listen to English YouTubers, speakers, and actors, and you think your voice is terrible. But English is not your first language, and it does not need to be. You don't need their voice. You need the most confident version of your own voice. And finally, you were never trained to own your presence. School teaches grammar, vocabulary, and tests, but nobody teaches how to stand, how to breathe, how to look at people, how to control rhythm, how to express emotion, or how to use your voice as a powerful tool. But from today forward, you will begin learning exactly that. The first solution is to slow down your speaking. When you speak too fast, your voice becomes weak, your breath disappears, your brain cannot keep up, and the listener stops understanding you. But when you slow down, your voice becomes deeper, you sound more confident, your message becomes stronger, and people can feel your presence. Try comparing this fast, nervous stream, maybe just want to say, to the calm version, I want to say something, and I want you to listen. The difference is incredible. The second solution is to use short, powerful sentences. Long sentences show insecurity. Short ones show clarity and leadership. Instead of saying, I think maybe we should try something else because I'm not sure this works, simply say, let's try something else. It will work better. Short, direct, powerful. The third solution is to remove weak words from your speaking. Words like maybe, I think, kind of, a little bit, and I just. These words quietly destroy your confidence. Compare, I think maybe this is better to, this is better. The difference is not grammar, it is confidence. To build real confidence, you need daily practice. Start with mirror speaking. Stand in front of a mirror, look into your own eyes and say, I believe in my voice. I speak with confidence. My voice matters. At first it feels uncomfortable because you are not used to truly facing yourself. But after a few days, something inside you changes. Next, use power phrases to build a stronger identity. I believe in my voice. This matters. I speak with power. My English is simple but strong. Say them slowly, clearly, and with emotion. Then each day, practice the daily confidence drill. Speak these 3 sentences. My voice is clear. I speak with confidence. People listen to my words. Only 30 seconds a day, but it will change the entire energy of how you speak. When you practice consistently, your voice will become clearer, your words will carry more power, your fear of mistakes will fade, and you will finally begin believing in yourself. People will naturally respect you more. Not because your English is perfect, but because your voice carries confidence, calmness, control, and presence. Your voice is a reflection of who you are, and from this moment on, you will no longer allow fear to control your voice. If you want to speak English with confidence, you do not need to be smarter, you do not need perfect grammar, and you do not need a native accent. You only need one thing. Believe in your voice, practice slowly, speak clearly, speak confidently, and let your voice rise. 2. Communication psychology. I want to share with you a powerful topic that almost no school teaches, yet it determines more than half of your communication success. It is the psychology of communication, the art of making people want to hear you, want to trust you, and want to connect with you. Because communication is not only about saying the right words in English, communication is about making people feel you. In this lesson, you will understand why psychology plays such an important role, the key psychological factors that influence your listeners, the common behaviors that destroy communication, the techniques to control the psychology of your audience, and ultimately how to transform yourself from a person who knows how to speak into a person who is truly heard. People do not react to words first. They react to energy. In communication, only 30% comes from the words you say. The other 70% comes from your body language, your eyes, your emotions, your tone, and the way you carry yourself. This means that even if your English is not perfect, when your confidence is strong and your presence is clear, people will respect you. For example, if you say, "Today I want to share something important," but your voice is small, your eyes avoid contact, and your breath is shaky, the sentence loses all its power. But if you say it slowly, with steady eyes and a calm breath, the exact same sentence becomes strong, meaningful, and full of authority. That is the power of communication psychology. The first major factor is your speed. The speed of your speech determines whether your listener can follow you. When you speak too fast, people become tense, distracted, or overwhelmed. When you speak too slowly, they lose interest. But when you speak with rhythm, slow enough to be clear, but fast enough to stay engaging, you draw them into your message. If you rush and say, "Okay, just want to tell you something important, it's right now," no one can keep up. But if you say, "Okay, I want to tell you something important," listen carefully, suddenly your message becomes captivating. Your speed reflects how much control you have. The second factor is eye contact. Eye contact is the strongest trust builder in communication. A person who talks well but refuses to look at others will always seem unconfident or unsure. But when you hold someone's eyes for 2 or 3 seconds, they feel connected to you. They feel your sincerity. They feel your presence. If you say, "I believe this will help," while looking down, people won't believe you. But if you look directly into their eyes, your words immediately gain weight. The third factor is the pause. Pausing is a secret technique used by powerful speakers. A pause creates attention. A pause gives the listener a moment to absorb your message. A pause shows that you are calm and in control. Without pauses, your message becomes flat. But with pauses, even simple English becomes powerful. This is important, so please listen. The pause turns ordinary speech into impactful communication. But to communicate effectively, you must also avoid certain behaviors. Looking down at the floor signals fear, insecurity, and avoidance. No one trusts someone who cannot hold their gaze. Fidgeting, shifting your weight, moving your feet, touching your face shows nervousness and lack of control. Ease your listener uncomfortable. Speaking nonstop without breaks overwhelms your audience and makes them mentally shut down. Communication requires rhythm, not speed. Now let's talk about 3 professional techniques that will help you influence your listener's psychology. The first technique is eye lock. Hold your listener's eyes for 2 or 3 seconds, then gently look away and repeat this flow. It creates a deep connection and makes the listener feel that you are speaking directly to them. When you say, "I want to share a story, and I want you to feel it," hold their eyes. Let them feel your presence. The second technique is controlled hands. Your hands are powerful tools for expression, but only when used with intention. Don't wave your hands wildly, don't hide them, and don't fidget with your hair or face. Use open palms to show sincerity. Move your hand gently forward to emphasize a point. Place your hand on your chest to express emotion. When you say, "This matters," a gentle, controlled gesture makes the message stronger. The third technique is breath flow. Most anxiety when speaking comes from disrupted breathing. Before speaking, take 1 slow breath in and release. When you speak, let your breath come from your core, not your chest. When you want to emphasize a point, pause, breathe, and then speak. Before saying, "I want to tell you something important," take 1 calm breath. Your voice will carry more power, presence, and clarity. When you combine these techniques, steady eye contact, controlled hand movements, and a calm flow of breath, you will transform your entire presence. You will go from someone who simply talks to someone who is truly heard. You will go from being just another English learner to someone who speaks with strength, calmness, and authenticity. Even if your English is simple, people will still feel your certainty, your sincerity, and your confidence. That is the true purpose of communication psychology. Not to speak perfectly, but to speak in a way that people want to hear. Not to impress people with big vocabulary, but to connect with their emotions. Not to speak more, but to speak with intention and impact. If you want to master English communication, learn to control your eyes, your hands, your breathing, and your inner calm. When you do, your English will naturally become more powerful, and you will become an exceptional communicator in any language. 3 public speaking and persuasion skills. I want to share with you a topic that can completely transform the way you speak English and the way you communicate in life. This is the art of public speaking and persuasion. Many people think public speaking means talking a lot, talking fast, or using complicated vocabulary. But that is the biggest misunderstanding. True public speaking is not about speaking more. It is about making every sentence carry weight. You don't need an impressive vocabulary. You need the right techniques. And today I will give you 3 golden techniques that can make your English sound powerful, convincing, and full of impact, even if your English is still simple. Before learning the techniques, you must understand the essence of public speaking. Speaking is not just about words. It is about emotions and guiding the listener's thoughts. People don't remember every word you say. They remember how you made them feel. They don't store sentences. They store emotions. To become a speaker with presence, you must master rhythm, emphasis, pauses, energy, and the ability to bring your listener into your story. That is the foundation of public speaking. One of the strongest techniques is the power of pause. A pause is not silence. It is a tool that gives the listener time to receive, process, and feel your message. If you speak nonstop, the listener becomes tired. But if you pause at the right moments, you pull them into your message. Pausing before you speak creates authority. Pausing after a sentence creates emotion. Pausing after a keyword increases impact. When you say homne, toi mon noi voiban mo jiu rat quan trong, That pause creates focus. When you say, Ban shung zhang juok lang he, Ban shung zhang juok ton trong, the silence between the sentences makes the message powerful. When you emphasize this matters, the keyword becomes unforgettable. Repetition is another golden technique. Repetition is not unnecessary talking. It is emotional reinforcement. The human brain remembers repeated feelings, not repeated words. Repetition creates rhythm, intensity, and emotional depth. When you say, I believe in you, I truly believe in you, the message grows stronger. When you say, I tried, I failed, I learned, and I rose again, each line builds a deeper emotional connection. And the rule of three, simple, short, strong, makes your message memorable. Another powerful technique is the short sentence. In public speaking, the shorter the sentence, the stronger the impact. Short sentences are easier to understand, easier to remember, easier to feel, and sound more professional. Instead of saying, I think that if we try to work harder, maybe we could find a better solution to this problem, you can simply say, we can do better. Let's find a better solution. Short sentences give clarity, power, and confidence to your voice. Simple structures like, I believe, this matters, let's begin, and we can do this, can change the entire energy of your communication. These three techniques, pausing, repetition, and short sentences, are not theory. They are practical skills you can apply immediately in interviews, presentations, workplace communication, and even YouTube or TikTok videos. A pause makes you sound confident. Repetition makes you sound certain. Short sentences make you sound professional. When you practice these techniques, everything about your communication begins to transform. You speak slower and people understand you better. You emphasize better and people remember your message. You pause at the right moments and people feel your emotions. You use short sentences and your voice becomes stronger. You repeat key ideas and your message becomes unforgettable. And the final result is this. You don't just talk, you persuade. You don't just communicate, you connect. You don't just pronounce words, you create influence. You are no longer a normal English speaker. You become someone who captures attention, someone who leaves a lasting impression, someone who speaks with depth and power, a truly magnetic speaker. And always remember, public speaking is not a talent, it is a skill. And any skill can be learned, practiced, and mastered. When you master these techniques, your English becomes more than a language. It becomes your strength, your presence, and your identity. 4. Self-identity and voice. Welcome to English Story. Today I want to share with you a topic that doesn't just change the way you speak English. It changes who you are. This is the journey of self-development through language, where your voice becomes part of your identity and English becomes the door that opens you to a stronger, more confident version of yourself. Most people who learn English focus on vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation. But they forget the most important truth. Your voice is a reflection of who you are. The way you speak reveals whether you are confident or shy, strong or uncertain, genuine or forced, calm or anxious. You don't need to introduce yourself as a confident person. Your voice already does that for you. And the beautiful thing is this. When you change your voice, you begin to change yourself. Speaking just a little slower, a little clearer, a little deeper, with a little more emotion doesn't just make you sound different. It makes you become a more confident, grounded, and magnetic version of yourself. Your language identity is shaped by how you think, how you feel, and how you see yourself whenever you speak. If your mind is filled with thoughts like, what if I make a mistake? my voice sounds weird, or people will judge me, then your voice will always be shaky, small, and powerless. But when you shift your mindset to, I deserve to be heard, I speak to share, not to impress, or my story matters, your voice immediately becomes stronger, clearer, and more grounded. Your emotions are also carried in your voice. When you're sad, your voice drops. When you're anxious, your voice trembles. When you're confident, your voice becomes open and steady. Emotions shape your sound, and your sound shapes the way people see you. And the most important part is how you see yourself as a speaker. If you see yourself as a nervous student trying not to make mistakes, you will always speak like someone who feels small. But if you see yourself as someone with a message, someone with something meaningful to share, your voice naturally carries more weight, more presence, and more power. To build your own voice identity, the first step is accepting yourself instead of trying to imitate someone else. You don't need an American accent, a British accent, or an Australian accent. You don't need to sound like any YouTuber or native speaker. You cannot create a new identity while borrowing someone else's voice. A powerful voice is a genuine voice, clear, emotional, and honest. The second step is building a natural voice. A natural voice is not forced, not exaggerated, not overly performed, and not pressured. Speak as yourself, just a calmer, more intentional version of yourself. For example, don't speak fast out of fear. Speak slowly because you want others to understand you. The third step is speaking with real emotion. Don't speak like a robot. Instead of saying, I want to share something important with you in a flat tone, try, I want to share something truly important with you. Just a little emotion makes a big difference. And the final step is using your personal stories. A voice with stories is a voice with a soul. Share the lessons you've learned, the moments that changed you, the failures you overcame, and the dreams you're pursuing. People don't connect to language. They connect to your story. To transform your identity through English, you can use 3 powerful tools. The first is affirmation speaking, strengthening yourself through your own words. Every day, say to yourself, I deserve to be heard. My voice has value. I speak clearly and confidently. After 30 days, your voice will shift because when your beliefs change, your sound changes. The second tool is emotional storytelling, sharing real stories with real feelings. For example, you can say, the first time I spoke English in front of my class, I was shaking so much I forgot my words. But the moment I decided to keep speaking changed me forever. A personal story gives your voice its own unique identity. The third tool is the slow speaking method. Speaking slowly is not a sign of insecurity. It's a sign of control, calmness, and authority. Try saying, I want to tell you something. Then pause for a moment. Something important. Just a few days of this practice, and your voice becomes deeper, stronger, and far more impactful. And when you practice long enough, something truly magical happens. English stops being a school subject. It becomes a part of who you are. You become more confident, not only in English, but in every conversation. You become calmer in front of people. You develop a presence you didn't have before. People begin to feel your energy, your strength, your sincerity. And you will be surprised at how much you've grown. At this point, English is no longer just a language. It becomes your voice identity, your personal mark, your new identity, your upgraded version. Remember this, you are not learning English to sound like someone else. You are learning English to become a better version of yourself. When you change your voice, you change your thoughts. When you change your thoughts, you change your life. English will become the bridge that helps you become more confident, more courageous, more grounded, more expressive, and more alive. Your voice is your power. Learn to use it well. Thank you for watching this video. If you find the video meaningful and valuable to you, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel to follow our next videos. Wish you always happy, successful, and happy. See you again in the next videos. Goodbye.